Hello my dear students, welcome to the new and last session of respiration in plants. So in this session we will be discussing about respiratory balance sheet, amphibolic pathway and respiratory quiescent. So let's move to the first concept of this session, that is the respiratory balance sheet, or how much amount of energy is released in the process of respiration. So the process, number of ATP in the substrate level phosphorylation, number of NADH or FADH2, then how much amount of ATP are produced from NADH and FADH2 in oxidative phosphorylation or ETS and oxidative phosphorylation. The first process, that is glycolysis. In glycolysis, what is the number of ATP? 2. What is the number of NADH? NADH number is also 2. And in the oxidative phosphorylation, we will get 2 ATP, 2 NADH. That means how many number of ATP? 1 NADH equivalent to 1 NADH will be equal to 3 ATP. Then 2 NADH will be 23 equal to 6 ATP. Then the second process, that is the formation of acetyl coenzyme A from the pyruvate. That is the link reaction before entering to the Krebs cycle. The conversion of pyruvate to acetyl coenzyme A, formation of acetyl coenzyme A. In this process, no ATP is formed directly, but 2 NADH formation happens. 1 NADH equal to 3 ATP, 2 NADH equal to 6 ATP. Now let's move to the third process, that is Krebs cycle. In Krebs cycle, what is the number of ATP? 2. Number of NADH, both NADH and FADH2 will be produced. What is the number of NADH? That is 6 NADH. From 1 pyruvate, 3 NADH. From 2 pyruvate, 6 NADH. And what is the number of FADH2? From 1 pyruvate, 1 FADH2. From 2 pyruvate, 2 FADH2. In the oxidative phosphorylation, we have studied how the NADH and FADH2 will form the ATP. 1 NADH equivalent to 3 ATP. Then 6 NADH equal to 6 into 3 equal to 18 ATP. Now 2 NADH. 1 FADH2 will be equivalent to how many number of ATP? 2 ATP. So 2 FADH2 equal to 2 into 4, 2 into 2 equal to 4 ATP. So now let's sum this. 18, 4, 6, 6, 6, 6, 18 and 4. That is the 34. And here 2 plus 2, 4. Substrate level phosphorylation, that is the directly the ATP formation occurs, 2 to 4, and that is 34. So total 34 plus 4 equal to 38. So this is the total number of ATP that form in the process of respiration. Next concept, that is the amphibolic pathway. So we have learned that the glucose molecule that will break down and the carbon dioxide along with ATP are produced. So in this process, a complex molecule break down into simpler one. So it can be, you can call it is a catabolic process. But respiration is not a catabolic process properly. It can be an anabolic process and catabolic process. How? We will discuss here. But amphibolic comes from two words, that is called amphi, one word amphi. That means, amphi means both. We have studied in class 9, amphibians. And bole means through. So the respiration can be anabolic, it can be constructive, and it can be catabolic. That means it can be destructive or breakup. So let's discuss how this is happening. So different respiratory substrate can enter to the process of respiration and energy formation occurs along with carbon dioxide is released. That respiratory substrate can be protein, can be carbohydrate, and can be fat. For the carbohydrate, that is the common glucose will form glucose 6-phosphate. From glucose 6-phosphate, it will be fructose 6-phosphate, then fructose 1,6-bisphosphate. After that, it will split into two, that is dihydroxy acetone phosphate and glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate. Then after, we will ultimately get the pyruvate. That pyruvate can form the acetyl coenzyme A and it will enter into the Krebs cycle. It is first accepted by oxaloacetic acid, then it will form citric acid, after that alpha keto glutarate or glutaric acid, after that it will form your succinic acid, then fumaric acid, malic acid, then again oxaloacetic acid. So this is the Krebs cycle. If the carbohydrate glucose enter to the respiration or respiratory pathway, it can form these products along with ATP and NADH and FADH2. But proteins and fat can also enter to the process. Fat can be glycerol and fatty acid, and protein after deamination it can be amino acid. There are a lot of amino acid, 20 basic amino acid, and the amino acid is enter to oxaloacetic acid. It can be enter to the oxaloacetic acid, and it can be enter to the alpha keto glutaric acid. In alpha keto glutaric acid, it will enter as glutamate, and for oxaloacetic acid it will be enter aspartate. And the glycerol and fatty acid, they also can enter to the respiratory pathway. The glycerol can form glyceraldehyde 3-phosphate and enter to the respiratory pathway. And the fatty acid can convert into acetyl coenzyme A, and then it will enter into the pathway. So these products can also enter into the respiratory pathway along with the glucose. And when the body or when there is a need of proteins or fatty acid or glycerol or fats, these products, they can be extracted from the respiratory pathway and help in formation of protein and fat. So formation means what? And formation means it is the anabolic or catabolic? Anabolic process. Here we see the complex molecule break down into simpler things. But here, from here to amino acid and these products to fats, this is a simple things to complex things. That means the process is anabolic. So the process of respiration can be anabolic and can be catabolic. So it will be better to call the respiration is an amphibolic pathway, nor a catabolic process. Let's move to the last concept of the chapter number 14, respiration in plant, that is the respiratory quiescent. This is not actually the last concept, but it is the last concept in the class 11 NCERT syllabus. You have to read a lot about the respiration in plants in later stage. So respiratory quiescent, in the process of respiration, oxygen is consumed and carbon dioxide is released. So respiratory quiescent is the ratio of carbon dioxide released divided by, or volume of carbon dioxide released divided by volume of oxygen utilized. It can be different for different respiratory substrate. Like for the carbohydrate, it will be the respiratory percentage 1. How we will calculate here? In the carbohydrate, that is the glucose plus 6O2, it will convert into, or it will give rise to 6CO2 plus 6H2O and energy. Now the respiratory quiescent RQ equal to 6 volume of carbon dioxide released, 6 CO2 divided by 6 O2 equal to 1. So for the carbohydrate, the RQ is 1. So let's calculate what is the RQ or respiratory quiescent for the fat. So for the fat, the respiratory quiescent will be less than 1. How we will calculate here? I am giving the triparmitin example when C51H98O6 plus 145O2, it will give rise to 102 oxygen plus 98 water along with energy. So here let's calculate the RQ. The RQ will be, this is CO. The RQ will be 102 CO2 divided by 145 O2. So this is nearly equal to 0.7, that is less than 1. So for the fat, the RQ is less than 1. For the proteins, the respiratory quiescent is nearly equal to 0.9. And the respiratory quiescent can be 0. In case of succulents, they do not evolve carbon dioxide during the night time when the stomata is open, is because that carbon dioxide is used to fixation of carbon. So here 2C6H12O6 plus 3O2, it will form malic acid, that is C4H6O5 and 3 molecule of malic acid plus along with 3 water molecule will be formed. This is malic acid. So here let's calculate the respiratory vessel. So RQ will be volume of carbon dioxide released by volume of oxygen utilized. But where is carbon dioxide? That is 0 carbon dioxide divided by 3 oxygen. It is equal to 0. So RQ differs from substrate to substrate. It can be 0, it can be more than 0, it can be less than 0. And RQ gives the knowledge about the respiratory substrate, that which respiratory substrate enter to the respiratory pathway, and also it gives the knowledge about the type of respiration. So this is about the chapter number 14, that is respiration in plant. And hope you get it and understand it thoroughly. And as I already told you, this is the end of your NCERT class 11. You have to read a lot about the respiration in plant in further classes. Thank you all. Have a great day.